The next wave of business leaders won't just use AI, they'll master momentum with it, starting now. Welcome to the Mastering AI Momentum Show, where visionary founders and driven business leaders turn artificial intelligence, automation, and scalable systems into real growth, real scale, and real freedom. If you're ready to break bottlenecks, reclaim your title, and scale smarter, this is your playbook. Let's dive in. Here are your hosts, Allie Porter and Elise Smith.
Welcome, everyone, to the Mastering AI Momentum Show, where we explore how today's founders, creators, and marketing leaders are using AI and strategy to build smarter, stronger, and more scalable businesses. My name is Elise Smith. I am your AI business strategist with Millionaire Momentum AI Agency, where we help entrepreneurs and marketing leaders blend creativity and automation through AI systems that turn chaos into clarity and ideas into income. Today's guest is someone who knows how to make business growth both strategic and human, and she'll probably make you laugh while she's doing it. I'm joined by Amanda Fischer, a fractional CMO, comedian, and co-founder of Nickel Bronx, a brand-first full-service agency helping companies build connection that converts. She's also the creator of Ask Amanda, a consultancy where she brings no BS advice to teams navigating growth, team gaps, and fast-changing markets. Amanda's known for cutting through confusion and helping companies finally bridge that messy gap between marketing and sales. Her secret? Strategy with personality and a whole lot of heart. So Amanda, welcome to the show.
Thanks, Elise. It's great to be here.
Awesome.
I was like, when I first met you, I loved everything that you had to say. And so it's great to actually officially be on the podcast.
Yay, that's so wonderful. So in your own words, tell people who you serve and how you serve them.
Sure. I'm industry agnostic, first of all, which creates its own challenge. So I work across all industries, but personally, I integrate marketing and sales in professional service companies. So companies where maybe the benefits are less tangible and it's harder to market because there's no product that you can see or smell or hear. It's all about the services that people are providing and connecting the marketing to what is actually going to generate revenue. So that's my specialty. I do work then often in tech companies or cybersecurity a lot, aerospace actually, but then also, lawyers, accountants, financial advisors, those types of things.
Wow.
But then the agency that I founded, where we have an entire team, that's just my CMO work, my fractional CMO work. The agency represents all industries and business to consumer, not just business to business. So.
That is so cool. I love that. So tell me, because I noticed in your bio that you are a comedian. So tell me a little bit more about that and how you weave that into what you're doing.
So it's just who I am. So that's how I weave it in. I've always loved stand-up comedy. I never thought I would do stand-up comedy. I kind of took it on as a challenge when I was in Washington, D.C. I now live in Boca Raton, Florida, but I moved here 6 years ago. And when I was in Washington, D.C., I was part of a community of entrepreneurs. And many of those entrepreneurs were taking on this type of stand-up comedy challenge. And they were paying loads of money to do it. And I just thought, I can do this on my own without having to spend, a fortune. And then I told some people so that I would be held accountable. And then when I moved to Florida, I found it as kind of an outlet because it actually came about because of all the weird, strange things that happened in Florida when I moved there. It's just a crazy place. And you realize it the most when you're transplanted there.
Yeah, I bet. I know it's funny, like you kind of pick up on the news of like what kind of weird stories come out of different locations. I used to live in Albuquerque, New Mexico, and they're known for like cops, right? And so Florida does have some interesting stories that come with it. So I'm sure that
like Florida man did this, or Florida man everything, it's always, of course, and who did this crazy thing by like throwing spaghetti at a toddler? It was a Florida guy, whatever it is. It's just very far out stuff. But in my everyday, I was encountering some of these just like culture shocks. And I wonder if that happens to everybody whenever they move anywhere different, or if it was just Florida. I don't know.
Yeah, I completely agree. I love that. So every business has a scaling story. So what were some of the biggest hurdles in building your agency and consultancy, and how did you overcome them?
So my consultancy has been pretty easy because it's just me, and the agency, I really did and do love leaning on a partner for that. Hiring is not my favorite thing to do. So I'm not the primary person that takes care of that. I'm a later interviewer, which is nice. And so the biggest challenge is really like, who do we hire in what positions for full-time versus who do we hire in what positions as a contractor? And then sure that we have the redundancy if there is an issue with somebody leaving or with somebody being sick. Those, I think, continue to be the biggest challenges today, even though we've got a rock solid team now. So, and I think we've figured out 85% of it, but there are always going to be things that you can't predict, and solving for those things is a big challenge.
Yeah. What kind of advice would you give? Because I think that's a really good question of when to hire them as like an employee versus a contractor.
It's hard to give that advice until knowing the inner workings of the specific company. For us, we have full-time designers. We have a full-time project manager now, which we didn't before. And that was a big move for us. We have also contracted project managers to assist, but having one lead, strong, full-time internal project manager that can take ownership and be kind of like an ops lead other than just the founders, it's really, really helpful in that capacity. And so I don't, and I know for us, I know our next full-time hire, we're looking at really working on social media. So we love our social media manager, and she is not full-time right now, but we are hoping that we can make that happen.
That's awesome. Yeah. I mean, it's all about the people, right? Like it's really difficult to build a business by yourself. And especially since I feel like you kind of see it from both sides. And as you're growing, you kind of just need to add those people in naturally. And sometimes it even happens before you feel like you're ready. Did you ever have that happen with you?
Yes. I mean, well, sometimes it's if you find somebody that fits so well with your values and is able to do the work and has the capacity, and you don't want to lose them. So it's kind of tricky. I think you do know a lot of times, when it's right. And that's where we are right now. We know where a lot more about where it's right. So, and then we can also, the other thing is making sure that we kind of backfill with other people that can support in a contractual way. So like, not just having that, we have that person, but then making sure that we can, if something happens, we've got somebody on standby, and they might not be a full-time person, but they're, well aware of our business and have been working with us in that capacity for a while. So can fill in and can take over if needed in an emergency. Nice. Because you can't be left hanging.
Yeah, exactly. So what processes did you have to change to keep that growth sustainable, since you've done so well, especially with the one business that you have, Nickel Bronx, as I remember?
Yeah. Well, that's, it's just easier to talk about that in these terms, just because it is a team environment, and it has to do with, my fractional CMO. That's scaling. That is super, up or down, very easy. It's just me, right? So So operationally, I would recommend, have you heard of EOS, the Entrepreneur's Operating System?
Mm-hmm.
Yes. Okay. So we run that. We run EOS, and that has been, I mean, I hate to use the word game changer because we're talking about AI. So it's a game changer. So it's one of the ways that AI like all the time. But it is. EOS has been instrumental for us in our growth and in solving our issues and, really defining the criteria for which that we measure things against. So I would highly recommend that. And I do recommend that with a facilitator. We have a magnificent, very strong facilitator who helps keep us in line. So,
nice. So for those who don't know what EOS is, can you kind of give a summary?
Sure. It's a way that you run your business. And so it gives you a structure for how you engage in problem solving meetings, assigning value to things. You get, it's a whole process that, I'm not a facilitator, so I don't run it. I just follow the process. And you have like vision days where you discuss about, the future of the company and your goals. You have quarterly meetings, which are obviously quarterly, and you see how you have performed based on, what your goals were and what you took on. And did you get where you wanted to go, or did you not? Do you need to reevaluate? Do you need, do we need to carry these goals over? Do we need to restructure our goals for the next quarter? But then even more importantly, it's the L10 meeting, which is weekly, and it starts with the leadership team. And you have, again, you follow a process, and that process has just been great for us.
Love that. Yeah. And I think every good company, especially when they're in that growth mode, really needs to have a good structure to follow, whether it's working with a coach or a consultant or, EOS, I think is a perfect example of that. So thank you for giving us a peek behind the scenes of how your company is working so well. So what technology or systems became essential to managing multiple businesses and staying creative and really getting the results that you've been looking for?
Well, those are a bunch of questions. They're all in one. We use ClickUp as our project management solution to manage all the clients, to manage every task that we have associated with every project that we do for every client. And that keeps us in order. And we have a whole process doc of how to use that when you're new to onboard and how to learn to use it, the way that we use it. So, everything, all of these project management tools can be used in various ways. So we had to create a handbook on and make sure that everybody's trained on the right way to use it for our company.
Mm-hmm.
We do that creatively. We use Figma a lot. And all of these solutions, ClickUp and Figma and anything else that we use for video has all of these AI components that have now been introduced to make it easier or more interesting or both. So, and we have everybody in the company working with different AI tools and reporting back. And we've assigned, we first had a group meeting to talk about what people are comfortable with, where they were starting, and then worked as a team together to define the types of tools they should focus on based on what their role was. And then they had the buy-in. They would look into a number of tools and then come to us with an idea of one they wanted to do a deep dive in and the reason why. And then it's basically an assignment. And then they come back after a period of time and report on what they've learned and how they use it and if they would recommend it for use on a regular basis.
Wow. I love the collaborative approach there, right? Because then it's not just saying like, this is the tool we're going to use and like shoving it down people's throats. And then you have the resistance and maybe they found something that might be better. So walk me through that process one more time. So when you, do you like start with it as like, here's a bottleneck that we have in our business, and so let's go research tools? Or is it, we found a tool and now let's
No, I think actually I love that question. I think that is a very important distinction with AI specifically, is to not just find a tool and decide how you're going to use it and decide that you want to use it, so you're going to make it fit. No, it's where can our process improve? What is maybe not working as well as it can, and defining those things first, and then looking into tools that can assist us in fixing that issue. And so then bringing those options to the table and then discussing them, and the buy-in, like you said, is extremely important. I use buy-in all the time because it's like, with deadlines, even if you're talking with clients, you ask them when they can get something done by first, instead of imposing a deadline, because then it's really their idea.
Yeah, exactly. I know it's such a good leadership concept that I think people don't think about, is that if they're the ones who came up with it, then you don't have that uphill battle. And so I love that collaborative environment, and just the fact that you focus on the problem first instead of the tool, because there are 14 million different tools out there, especially when it comes to AI. And so it's really about fixing the bottleneck that you have. And do you do that like per department, or what does that look like as like a whole company? What does that look like?
Yeah, so we have a relatively small team. It is a whole company thing, but it starts with, I guess I would say, the core team first. And we started with introducing this into our marketing meeting and working. Yeah. And it started only with discussions. And I would have to say, like, we're doing great now. And I think that we're in a great place now as an agency. And I feel very confident about our grasp on as much as we can with everything that's fire hosing out in AI right now. But we did get, I would say, a little bit late of a start. And I think a lot of people might be able to relate to that. You have, all this AI coming out and nobody knows what to do with it. And I do think, and we had it on our issues list for our L10 with EOS for a very long time before we actually did address it and bring it to the team. But now I feel very good about where we are with that.
That's awesome. Yeah, love that. So let's kind of look into the future a little bit. What is next for your companies? What are you hoping to accomplish in the next 6 to 12 months?
Gosh, I mean, continue to grow in this environment, which is very difficult. So we've in that way, we're rethinking the way our offerings, and me personally too, as a fractional CMO, what I'm seeing more of now, then that's I think a really good benefit that would never have come up before me, is I work with a lot of entrepreneurs that have multiple businesses. So, and so then they hire me, and they're doing a lot of things on their own. And and a lot of times they're engineers and they're technical people, and they're using AI for a lot of different things, and they're creating things, and they just need some discernment. They need judgment. They need somebody to take a look at what they've created. What have they missed? How could this be useful or not useful? And they're just not always either marketing minded or sales minded. They may be strong in one area and not the other. And so they bring me in to have these working meetings or strategy meetings, and they just throw some things at me and say, what do you think of this? Or tell me they want me to review something while we're on the call. It's like, hey, I might need a minute to review that, but I will do that for you. I need to think about this. But they move so quickly. It's kind of like the way AI has evolved. They're moving just as quickly. And so, but they just want somebody. I mean, they have multiple people, but they also want me to help them, and as another person to bounce things off of, another point of view, another I guess, what do you say, second opinion. Yeah.
Absolutely. I love that. Yeah. So I know when we talked before, you said that AI, you like to use it as a problem solving tool, not a buzzword. So how do you help clients understand that distinction?
I mean, I feel like they either understand it or they don't, and I'm not sure I can make them. If they don't, there are people out there that are just super gung-ho. AI should do everything for me. I don't need to think anymore. And I don't know if you can snap them out of it. So I tend to work with people that do understand how to use it best, and they might veer off a little bit too. I mean, I like to do a little bit of work on the front end before I hand it over to ChatGPT, for example, instead of having it do the first draft, if I put it that way. And I think a lot of people are still are going straight to ChatGPT to do a first draft. So I would recommend, if you would like your brain to keep working, to try doing it yourself first. But you're not going to be able to convince people. So you just got to work in the lines that you're given.
Yeah, I think that's a really good point, is that there are people who are like all AI all the time. Like, I want a robot in my house cleaning, and like just full blown, that's where they want to go. And then there are people on the opposite side of the spectrum who want nothing to do with AI. And it's interesting to see those people in the middle of how they're deciding to use it, because it really is a decision. I mean, especially as a business owner and a founder, to be able to say, okay, how do I want my company and my team to utilize AI? And it sounds like you guys have found that really good balance. So what would you say is really working for you when you decide on AI tools in your business?
Well, I mean, ChatGPT in general has always been really helpful. Because you can create your own GPTs, like custom GPTs from there, and everything's really still right now based out of that. So we're doing all of that. We're creating the custom GPTs. We are using ChatGPT. We're using Claude. We're using, was it Nano Banana? I don't know. I mean, we have an entire design team, but we need them to know what they're up against with all of the design software out there now. And so we do, even if we don't use it, we make sure that we're familiar with it so that we understand what's out there and what other people might be using. So, but there's so many, and I can't remember all of them, but but my go-to is ChatGPT still, because I think maybe I trained it really well, even though the ChatGPT 5 really kind of messed a lot of things up. I know that I have a client that it took him over to Claude because of that. He had everything set up the way that he wanted, and then it wasn't working. It provided glitches in a lot of his systems, and this is interesting. He was reluctant, just like I am sometimes. Like, use the one that knows you the best, because then you have to retrain another one. But he's right. He's like, I just had to get through that barrier and use what I thought was going to work best for the thing that I was trying to do. And it took him like 15 minutes, but then he was struggling with the other one for hours. So now, he just moves more fluidly throughout all of the different systems right now.
That's so smart. Yeah. It's so funny that you mentioned that, because my husband and I were just talking about that like yesterday in the car. I was like, I've had some glitchiness with ChatGPT, and don't get me wrong, I love ChatGPT. And if ChatGPT people are listening, go ChatGPT. But I thought, okay, well, maybe, there's different LLMs, which is what those are, large learning models. But it's really all about finding the one that works for you. But don't be afraid to try different things, because it is pretty easy to train these LLMs. And they're all used for different types of things. Like Perplexity is great for research. And, Claude, I think, is possibly better in writing than ChatGPT. And, like there's Gemini is great for code and things like that. And so it's really interesting that we get into like our little comfort zone with things, and we don't always stretch out, but it's important to just kind of see what's available. And once again, coming back to your really good point, is focus on the bottleneck that needs to be solved. And if you trying to play with or convince a system to work better for you, then just switching over to a different system might be the best option. So, or might not be the best option. So love that. Well, good. Well, let's just have some fun for just a second. If we could build you any AI agent that would essentially act like a team member in your team, what kind of task or duty would you want it to do?
Oh my gosh. I have not even, I should think more on this. What task or duty would I want? I mean, it's just like, the things that I'd want it to schedule all my meetings, except I know that there are some that do that, and I don't like the way they do that. I've been on all ends of that, and I don't think that works very well. I really don't. And I think a meeting link works a lot better. So that would be it, because it's just, there's a lot of going back and forth, and there's a lot of, like, no matter who it is, even if somebody on your team scheduling the meeting for you, so effectively that would be a nice thing, but I just haven't seen that yet. I don't know what your experience is with that and scheduling. Same.
Yeah. I mean, it's a double-edged sword, right? It's easy to just give a calendar link and someone can find a time. There have been studies that say if you give like only 2 options and then go back and forth with the person, they're more likely to book. But I think it's 6s at this point. So, yeah.
That is old school, though. That's like what that is the advice that they would give you in sales if you're trying to book something, even without any kind of calendar link.
Yeah, exactly. I have Wednesday at 2 or Thursday at 3.
You've got options, but there are only 2 of them. And so
I love that.
Yeah.
So what else? What other AI agent tasks would you want them to take on? Like anything on lead gen or sales or anything like that?
It's hard for me because I, like my introduction said, I like to bring the human component to that. And I do think that we are in danger of being overrun. I just saw a story, probably AI generated, that said AI generated stories or have already overrun human written stories in the news. And so, I mean, that is a real fear of mine. And I love using these tools, and I do believe in these tools, and I believe they can be used for good. But I very much want to hang on to the humanness of it all. And because of that, I do have a hard time answering this question, but I'll have a better answer next time.
You're fine. Well, I think it's a great question for everybody to think about too. Not in necessarily the sense of like you have to have someone to do those types of things, but it goes back to kind of the theme of our conversation is focusing on that bottleneck. Because with AI, almost anything is possible, and the crazy thing is we're just getting started. So in the future, like almost anything is going to be, or anything will be possible. We'll take out the almost part. Because that's where we're at right now. And so it just takes thinking in terms of what is the bottleneck and what could we do to be able to help overcome that, and just putting, minds together in a room and figuring it out, because that's how all of the greatest inventions were made anyway, right?
Yeah. And I guess, I mean, I think part of what makes it maybe difficult is that a lot of those tools already exist. So I already feel like I've had a lot of help with like creating video and creating, scripts and creating finding, finding the best alarm clock that has all the features that I want on it. I know the one thing that, and maybe this is out of left field, but I've seen prompts about using it for travel and airline tickets, and I have not been able to make that work because they just assume that you'll take 6 stops that are most inconvenient and then, fly for 48 hours just to get a lower and you can put that in your prompt that you're not willing to do that, but it still doesn't seem to come up with a good result. Have you had luck with that?
I think there are some things that I don't trust AI on yet. Even as an AI agency owner, I would like to just book my own travel.
Well, I would like not to, so maybe that is it. But and I just don't. Yeah, but I do not trust it because I've tried, and I also don't want to hire a travel agent because I'm not talking about travel agent type work. I'm talking about getting from, here to from Boca to St. Louis or something. It's not complicated. It's just hard to, it's hard, whatever. That would be great if AI would take that over in a successful way for me.
Awesome. We'll put it on. We'll put our team on it and see what we can come up with.
Great.
I love this. This has just been so fun to just kind of talk real about, what AI is good for, what it's not good for, where are the things that we should be focused on when it comes to AI, and just understanding what you and your business do. And I really appreciate you being on the show today. So if people want to connect with you, obviously they can go to your website, which we'll put up here. But where else can they connect with you at?
Probably the best place would be LinkedIn, just Amanda Fischer. And then if you see Ask Amanda on there, then you'll know it's the same Amanda Fischer. But that's a great place to go, because then we can go anywhere else from there. And that's my main network that I use. Yeah.
Good. So check out askamandanow.com because she's got everything on there. So once again, Amanda, thank you so much for being on the show today. And thank you guys for tuning in to the Mastering AI Momentum Show. Stay bold, stay creative, and keep building your momentum with AI as your advantage. We'll see you next time.
You've been listening to Mastering AI Momentum. If today's episode gave you clarity or sparked a breakthrough, share it, review it, leave us a comment, and show Ali and Elise how you're turning AI into ROI. And make sure you subscribe, because the next episode could be the strategy that unlocks your next level. Until then, build smart, scale fast, and let AI multiply your momentum.